Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today we're gonna go headless. Wait. No, not this headless. Oh my god! Whew! Thank goodness. By headless, I mean this headless. Yes, we're talking about the Ibanez QX54QM, and we're gonna find out if it's worth your hard-earned dollar. Let's go find out! Alright, now that's over with, let's get into business. But I'm going to skip all of the basic information because it's already on Ibanez's own website, which is linked down below. What I'll go over is what I think of the headless guitar as a non-headless guitar player, because this is my very first headless guitar, so I'll be sharing my perspective on that. And lastly, we're gonna address some of the more critical reviews about this guitar, because you can't call yourself a true Ibanez fan if you don't defend its honor. I'm kidding, but we'll get to that later. So like mentioned earlier, this is my very first headless guitar, and what inspired me to get it is because I've always preferred lightweight guitars. So when Ibanez finally introduced the headless line back in 2021, I just knew immediately I need to get it. And let me tell you, it did not disappoint me whatsoever. The design is super ergonomic, so it just feels very natural. It feels like part of your body when you play, both standing up and sitting down. And for sitting down, the body has a very nice contour, so it sits super nicely in your lap. Now when it comes to this guitar, I have heard two concerns that people think that they may have to get used to. Number one is obviously the headless factor, which for me, it didn't make a difference playing between a headless and a traditionally designed guitar. Especially when I'm sitting down, it just feels completely the same. And the second thing is the slanted fret on the QX models. Now, a lot of people mistakenly call it fan frets, which is not the case because it doesn't fan and change angle from one point of the neck to the other. It's consistent, so it's just slanted frets. It may look strange visually, but as soon as you start playing and just let muscle memory take over, it will become a very natural thing, and you wouldn't even feel like there's a slanted frets on it. And I have to say, after I played for a while, I do notice that having the slanted frets does help, especially if you're doing a lot of tapping licks. So if you like playing Polyphia or Ichikanito type of stuff, that will definitely help you. My final thoughts on the headless guitar as a non-headless guitar player before is that I think every guitarist should own at least one for two reasons. Number one, it's good for your shoulder. Because we all know shoulder pain or chronic shoulder problem is universally a problem for guitarists as well as for bassists. So having a lightweight guitar that you can switch to from maybe a 50-pound Gibson is definitely beneficial for your shoulder in the long run. The second benefit is for traveling, because when you put the headless guitar in a gig bag, it's probably just slightly longer than like a tennis racket, so it'll be very easy to fly with it and do carry-on and just store it away in the overhead compartment. Now that we've showcased the guitar, let's move on to the fun part, which is addressing some of the more critical reviews on this guitar. So like everyone else, before I bought the guitar, I went on YouTube and searched on the guitar to see what it sounds like and what people think about it. And if you search QX54QM on YouTube, you will be sure to see Chords of Orion's video titled Ibanez QX54QM, an amazing guitar that sucks. Of course, as an Ibanez junkie, I had to check out the guitar and see why it sucks. The host of the channel, Bill, included 6 points why he thinks it sucks, as well as 3 other things that he thought is funny about the guitar. Now before we move on to see what Bill has to say and address each point, I just want to make it abundantly clear that this is a healthy and fun discussion. Bill's review was super helpful and thorough, and I absolutely admire Bill's unique ambient and atmospheric style of playing. I just thought it would be fun and helpful to share a different perspective on the subject.
First thing is the maple top itself. It is being marketed as a maple top. Now, this maple top, it's not really a top, it's a maple veneer. It's extremely thin. I doubt that it's contributing to the overall tone of the guitar.
Alright, I'm just gonna come on saying, because there's no other way I could put it. Tone wood, when it comes to electric guitar, specifically in solid body electric guitar, is 100% myth. I know if this video ever gets viewed, probably half of the people will get triggered. I'm not a luthier myself, but I've spoken to luthiers with decades and decades of experience. I've also watched a lot of luthiers talk about this subject. Majority of them agree that the talk of tone wood is mostly for marketing purposes. I've even read up on scientific journals on this subject. While they can detect their tonal differences from different woods, most of the research do conclude that it's insignificant or it's inconclusive to whether or not humans can detect this difference. Now when it comes to acoustic or semi-hollow guitar, of course it plays a major role because the sound is produced by vibrating the soundboard, and then the sound is resonated inside the body. Of course the material of the body will play a significant role in the tonal characteristic. Now if you still disagree, I would encourage you to watch Jim Lowe's video. I think his experiment sufficiently establishes the fact that you don't need wood, because he was able to recreate the sound by using nothing but just the string and the electrical components itself. So So I think that sufficiently proves the point. But at the end, anyone is entitled to their own opinions. But as far as Bill's point on maple top, the guitar does come with a very beautiful maple top. And it's in the model name. The QM stands for quilted maple. That is a very accurate description for the guitar, so I wouldn't count that against the guitar whatsoever.
Thing number two that I don't like is also in regards to the top. There are actually some finish flaws visible here.
Now, Bill's second point is that he received his guitar with some blemishes on it, which I totally sympathize, because you spend $1,000+ on it waiting for shipping, you finally take it out of the box, and then you see some ding and dent on the guitar. But again, I wouldn't count that against the guitar, because that could be the shipping problem, it could be the retail-less problem. If we're talking about 5 out of 10 of the same model all come with the same problem, a very good example is Tim Henson's super popular Treat of Death TOD10N. I've seen a lot of posts on Reddit, on Facebook group, that people have the same problem where the saddle just flat out comes off the guitar. Now that is a problem that I could consider a model's problem, because that is such a poor quality control on that model. But for a smaller blemish on the body, I wouldn't count it against the model itself.
All right, thing number three, it's kind of a big thing, at least for this particular guitar. It came with a loose tone knob. There, you can hear it rattling there.
Now, Bill's third point is that he received his guitar with a loose tone knob. Now, I won't lie, my guitar didn't come with a loose tone knob, but within a month or two, the tone knob did become loose. But that's a very easy fix, especially if you know the trick. And all that is just you take a floss or thread of some sort, loop it under the knob, and just pull. You don't have to use a plier, because if you use a plier, you can very easily damage the knob. Once you take the knob out, all you need to do is just tighten the washer, and that's it.
Number 4 on the no likey list is this headstock.
Now, Bill's next point is on the headstock, where the string lock sits just a bit lower than the headstock, making it very difficult to cut the string, and you can very easily scrape and just cut the headstock if you were using a plier and not being very careful. And B, it makes it just impossible to actually cut off the string completely. As you can see in this video, it will just leave out a tiny bit left on the headstock, making it very sharp, so if you touch there, you would definitely poke yourself. But at the same time, I don't know who's gonna be touching that part of the guitar. Also, on that point, I have researched around and looked at other headless, popular headless models. Steinberger and Kiesel's, they seem to have a flat top where they're not gonna have that problem. But Steinberg's headless guitar, they also have that problem where the string lock sits just a bit under. So on that point, I can definitely agree with Bill.
Number 5 on my list is the gig bag. You know, it's functional, but it is actually pretty cheap.
The last point Bill brought up is about the gig bag. He feels like it's cheap. Now, on that one, I feel both ways about it. On one hand, yes, come on, Ibanez, we spent over $1,000. We definitely deserve a better bag or maybe a case. But at the same time, it's 2023, like, even after 2020, if you spent $1,000 on the guitar, you'd be lucky if you get a sticker nowadays. You know, but back in 2015 when I used to work at Guitar Center, if you spent over $1,000, you get a hard shell case. If not, you get a very good gig bag, but nowadays you just get nothing. So on this point, I will probably stay neutral, but I would definitely lean more on Bill's side. Now next, Bill brought up 3 points that he thought is funny about the guitar. It's not something that he thought it's bad about the guitar, it's just something that he thought it's funny. Number 1, he thought it's funny that the guitar came with a cancer warning tag, but that's not an Ibanez thing. That is actually California Prop 65, I believe, and it's just part of the California silliness. A lot of the non-Californians, they thought that's funny when they come visit the States. You see it on every product, you even see it on McDonald's drive-thru, but that has nothing to do with Ibanez. And number 2, he thought it's funny that the manual that comes with the guitar has nothing to do with the guitar, which I 100% agree, because I could see that if you don't include a manual because you want to be green or whatever, you know, like, just don't include it. But you already print the paper, wasted the paper, but it has nothing to do with the guitar. You don't even teach me how to restring the guitar. You have an official video. You could have just included a card with a QR code to the video or something, but you printed all that paper just to be 100% wasteful. I don't see a point with that, so I agree with Bill on that one. And finally, the number 3 thing that he thought is funny about the guitar is the naming convention, which as a long-time Ibanez lover, and anyone who loves Ibanez would know, that's just an Ibanez quirk. You know, he thought it's funny that the model is named QX54QM BSM.
What the heck is that?
But you know, Q stands for Quest, and I believe the X in Quest means it has slanted frets. And then the QM, like mentioned earlier, is the quoted maple, and the number also has meanings that you can just go to Ibanez fandom and there's a comprehension list of what the number means, what each letter stands for. But as Ibanez lover, like I said, we all know that's just part of the Ibanez quirk, you know? Like they even recently introduced a water bottle, I believe it's called IBAB001, you know? Like, why? One day they're gonna introduce a toilet, it's gonna be CPYS for ceramic pearl Y squatter, 10P for poop or something like that. That's just Ibanez. So with that said, we've concluded our review. I want to thank Bill for such an honest and thorough review. After watching this review, I definitely decided that I must get this guitar. And here comes the $1 million questions, which is it worth it? And to that, I would say, hell yeah, it is worth it. Because most of the headless in the market nowadays, it's either from Steinberg, Strandberg, or Kiesel, and all of their guitars are in the upper $1,000 range, especially for Strandberg or Kiesel. They're all averaging about $2,000 or up. They do have some that's under $1,000, but not like in the Ibanez price range where it's late $1,000 or just barely breaking $1,000. So for the price point and the quality you get, it's absolutely worth it. Of course, that's not considering the one that's made in China that's sold on Amazon. There are a couple ones that's like $300 or $400. I've seen some good reviews about it, and maybe one day I'll try it. As far as the quality and the price, the Ibanez QX54QM is definitely worth your money. And with that said, I will see you next time.